So about a year and a half ago, back when Flagrant was still called Flagrant 2, they had the guys from the Fresh and Fit podcast on and recorded one of the most intense and awkward episodes ever. Because not only were they essentially disagreeing on every single thing, but at some point, Akash and Alex Media got visibly upset and were saying some wild stuff to their faces.
Like, say, hey, I misspoke, I told the bad joke, but you guys are doubling down and saying that you're like, there's nothing wrong with what I said.
Nope, there's nothing wrong at all.
But I don't.
like,
but that's cap. Y'all both you date black women as long as they fit the things that you want.
It's not our normal preference. But no. But like
Andrew Schultz himself thought the podcast went so bad for Fresh and Fit that he actually gave them the choice to not release the episode. Obviously, Fresh and Fit agreed and they were okay with it being uploaded. But then 5 months ago, they basically snapped and called out Andrew Schultz for what they believed he did to them on the podcast.
So what Flagrant tried to do here was virtue signal. Let's keep it 1,000.
Yeah.
They brought us in, try to demonize us, make us look like the bad guys. I'm not stupid. They had an agenda. Andrew tried to be the good guy. The other guy tried to be the bad guy. And then that loser in the back, whatever the his name is, tried to virtue signal as well when he's dating a white girl.
And now, since the Fresh and Fit YouTube channel has been demonetized, which is pretty wild, I thought it would be interesting to revisit that insane episode, which now sits with over 2.3 million views and is up there with some of their most watched episodes on their channel. And Fresh and Fit is claiming that Andrew Schultz heavily edited that podcast and had an agenda to try and make them look bad in virtual signal. However, Andrew Schultz says that they just had a bad performance and he even gave them the chance to not upload the video, which is true. But the thing that I find very interesting here is that in a way, Andrew Schultz kind of predicted and warned them against what was about to happen to them. Not only that, but now looking back, it's so shocking seeing how ruthless Akash and Alex Media are to Fresh and Fit when only a few months later, they were loving Andrew Tate for essentially sharing the same message. But let's get started.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We are here with some internet bad boys.
Yeah.
Okay, and we got to get to the
villains.
bottom of something. Why do you guys not like black women?
here we go.
Well, boy, I was like,
I'm with you, but obviously you saw what happened on the internet. You guys saw us react to it. You hit me. And like I've always said on this podcast, if we ever talk about somebody and they want to clarify their opinions or at least have a conversation about it, you're always welcome. You said, hey, I want to come on. You are here. The floor is yours. Tell us what happened.
So I went to this rally. No, I'm just kidding. No, man, long story short, so this is kind of a longer story, but...
Right.
We got time.
Oh, we got time? We got time today? Yeah. So we had Asian Doll come on our show.
Yeah.
Right? And you booked her as the guest.
Yeah. So
right?
funny story. So I met her in the club. We spoke, me and her manager, and we had a cool vibe. Cool person. Hey, come on the show. We'll show you some love. Boom, boom, boom. She agreed. Cool.
So right off the bat, within the first minute of the show, Andrew Schultz opens up by addressing the elephant in the room in a joking way and asking them about the comments that essentially started all the backlash. Also, keep in mind that Fresh and Fit did try to paint the narrative that Andrew Schultz was the one that reached out to them and invited them on the show just to bash him and ambush them, essentially, which, as you saw, was not true because Andrew Schultz told them to their face that they were the ones that reached out to him. And they also mentioned it on DJ Academic's podcast.
Can I tell you something honestly about that? And this is how much I was looking out for them. I didn't want to put out the episode. I said to them, I was like, guys, I think this could make you look bad. But no. I mean, they asked to come on. They just heard us respond to the clip and they're like, hey, can we come on the pod? I was like, leave.
Oh, I thought you reached out to them. Like,
No,
yeah.
they reached out.
Oh.
This is the thing that like people don't get. Like I know how the internet reacts.
Okay.
I know what's gonna happen. I know what's gonna happen also when we push back to them.
So it was really up to Fresh and Fit and their team to do some research and make sure that they're not going to a show and getting set up or trolled, because it's likely that they saw some of Andrew's stand-up in the past and some of his jokes and thought that they would be right at home. But something so simple as knowing that the two main people that are running the podcast are married should have given you indication that you're probably not going to be received and heard without any backlash or any pushback whatsoever. I guess the first 20 minutes were kind of friendly, mainly because Fresh and Fit didn't escalate any of it, because there were some pretty intense moments, mainly coming from Alex, who was the one that started the first confrontation.
And here's the thing. If anybody watches our podcast, we're kind of like you guys, very politically incorrect, make jokes.
That's the thing. I never criticize people for
like
jokes.
Yeah.
That's the. I'm not gonna. But then again, we might have different prerogatives with the podcast. Like I think you guys are more in like a life coaching space and like helping guys become the best version of themselves.
Yeah.
And we are comedians that just say shit all the time. It's literally called Flagrant too. Like, bro, like, I want to
here's
know
where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem. Well, I'm not saying I don't have a problem with a joke, but I have empathy for trying to be funny, and then it comes out and then everybody's on your neck.
Exactly.
That's something.
Yes, yeah.
Al can speak to black a lot more. I can speak to, yo, you're trying to be funny. It comes out, that's not what you meant. What I don't like, what I find corny is my preference is not my women.
So what we said was kind of like, I want to say, not funny to them, but to us is like, we're just cracking jokes, trying to be.
You're being hyperbolic about your dating preferences.
Yeah,
right. That's
much.
kind of how I took it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I think I think you can understand how the internet might have taken it, right? And then doubling down and being like, it's okay to have this as a preference. Like,
And
what's
also
wrong?
the way they said they didn't like it. Like that's what I was like bothered by the clip. It's like you guys go out of your way to say what you don't like, even though that's not what you're discussing. It's like your preference is what you do like, but then the way in which you went about how you don't like black women. Oh, I don't like the ratchet. I don't like the ghetto. I don't like the Shaniquas. Like that's like, if you were a white person saying all that, that's racist shit. And I'm just disappointed in you guys as black men to be talking about our sisters like that. So you don't have a problem with the way you spoke about your sisters like that? Like if it was him saying the same thing, you would be upset.
No.
So if he was like, oh, I don't like ghetto black women, I don't like Shaniquas.
It wouldn't bother me.
That's the preference.
Wow.
Because the thing is that
And hearing Alex in the background saying, nah, you're not like us, was very funny. It clearly shows that he was not a fan of them at all. Like I said, it was mainly him and Akash who, the ones that were starting the confrontations, which a lot of people gave them props for. And the thing is, the tricky thing when it comes to this whole situation is that even though I do think Andrew Schultz and them were mostly on the right, it doesn't make for a productive conversation. Great content, sure. But I also mentioned this when people were getting mad that Andrew Schultz didn't call out Logan Paul for the whole CryptoSue scandal. Because you can't have a show if every single guest that you have on is going to get called out and made feel uncomfortable, which is what essentially happened with Fresh and Fit, which is fine. Once again, I think it was really on Fresh and Fit for not being ready to defend their takes and getting on the podcast with no preparation, because that's the thing about Tate. When he started blowing up and going on all those podcasts and shows, he knew that he was going to trigger some people or say some things that were crazy and was ready to talk about it. By the way, if you like what you're seeing so far, please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps out so much, and we're close to 100,000 subs, so I really, really appreciate that. Thank you.
And you said you don't do dark.
That was a joke, bro.
Oh, so
That was a joke.
I do believe
it's a joke, man.
I mean, that's a cop out.
Yeah.
It's a cop. Like if your show is educational and I'm trying to help people, and then when I say something wrong, oh, that was a joke.
I run around the room.
I'm always going to be on the side. I'm always going to be on the side of jokes, and that's just who I am. I'm a comedian. I support.
We
that,
also can't necessarily ask him to have the same empathy as us as comedians.
Of course, Al's not a
That's
comedian.
a black dude.
Al's not a
So
comedian,
that's
but a
not a
comedian,
comedian. It's more troubling to me.
So say that. Like say, hey, I misspoke. I told a bad joke. But you guys are doubling down and saying that you're like, there's nothing wrong with what I said.
Nope. There's nothing wrong at all.
But I don't.
like,
but that's cap. Y'all both say you date black women as long as they fit the things that you want.
It's not a normal preference.
But like, okay. You're taking Dublin Dark as like every blogger. We're saying LaQuisha LaShonda. I'm not dating no hood black chick, bro. Hell no.
So you misspoke. You made a bad joke.
We said it's a joke.
No, but I'm saying, so you made a bad joke. So you wish you didn't say that.
No.
Like,
but
you're being hypocrites. You're being hypocrites, and this is a cop out.
I don't know. I just feel like it's ego. It's like sometimes we get in the situation where like
I've done this.
I've said some shit. Listen, we do shit all the time, right? You say some shit, and then you get all this backlash. And you're like, man, all these people. I'm gonna stand on this shit to the end of time. But if it's not really what you feel, then what you standing on? Like you, I think, are being the most honest. You, I think you got too much ego.
And now this is when things start to get very interesting, because Andrew, Akash, and Alex are now pushing them into a corner and basically forcing them to say some pretty dumb stuff. Again, it shows you how unprepared or how bad they were at debates back then, because that is the dumbest thing to try to defend or try to double down on. And Andrew Schultz did have a good point when it comes to their ego, because like I said, they were cornered into essentially saying that that what they said was a joke, but at the same time, they didn't think it was that bad and they stood by it. So it was kind of showing how it didn't make any sense, and it was essentially just their ego not letting them apologize or accept that they had messed up. And that was just the beginning, because they continued to do so, doubling down and basically pushing the boundaries until YouTube no longer wanted to do or to be associated with them. So for them to risk it all just so they can prove that they can be edgy and say whatever they want, that has to be ego, right? Because purely from a business perspective, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, you can still save men and do whatever you want, but just take it down a notch and keep your huge platform on YouTube and make money.
There's a lot of reading into this clip from like a year ago of us just
bro,
having a
but
good time
you're
talking
making it
on
about the
pod.
clip. I'm making it about what you're saying right now.
Yes.
My preference is, which is honestly, it is, and the words bothered him, but I think the mentality would still be troublesome to him, where it's like, what is, I need a girl that's submissive. Like, that's a lot of stuff you guys say in general, I think is stuff that's kind of childish. It is, I saw a clip where you were like, oh, the nuclear family's falling apart. What do you do? I don't get married. Just don't get married. You're actually trying to help men, or you talking to incels who are 18 years old? You know what I mean? That's some shit you say to college. I'm going to turn you from a simp to a pimp. All right, bro. Can we grow up? You guys are self-help. You are, hey, we're trying to help men. So either we're funny, or help men and be real and be honest with yourselves and don't have an ego like, no, I have a preference. Be honest. Have an honest conversation. But let's just be mature about what we feel. And part of that maturity is, yeah, it was a bad joke. I don't actually feel exactly that way.
I mean, if you guys feel that way, that's fine. But
Respectfully.
we make our content, you know what I'm saying? People enjoy it. We make jokes on it. We provide entertainment.
Man, that was tough. There isn't really much to unpack here because it's basically Akash just trashing them and everything that they do. Now, you could argue that it was a bit unprofessional for them to treat the guest like that because at the end of the day, if you don't like somebody, why even have him on the show? And what's really interesting is that at some point, Akash makes a comment basically saying that if he didn't want them on, Fresh and Fit wouldn't be on the podcast. And to me, that sounds like there was likely a conversation between Akash and Andrew and the whole team about having Fresh and Fit on the podcast. Potentially, Akash wasn't so happy with the idea, but Andrew Schultz made the executive decision to have them on, which is why I think you have this good cop, bad cop dynamic, which I don't think they did on purpose. I don't think it was planned, but instead I think it was mainly Akash really not being a big fan of them and not being too happy with them, and Andrew Schultz genuinely wanting to talk to them and have them on the show. Because if you pay attention, Andrew Schultz was essentially the one diffusing all of the intense moments and trying to salvage the episode, which now makes me wonder if that had anything to do with Akash not being on both of Logan Paul's appearances on the podcast.
One person in the relationship, whoever cares less, has the leverage, and we want the guy to always care less. We want the man to always have the leverage.
Childish as
And you guys might not like hearing that.
Childish.
But we truly feel.
I'm not. These aren't new beliefs, bro. You're not telling me some none of us have ever heard. We all heard this from fraternity guys in college. I'm saying there's room in and I don't have a problem with a lot of the stuff you say. I just think there is room for growth. And you guys' refusal to acknowledge it almost kind of proves it to me, confirms it to me that you guys are not willing to grow right now. And that's fine. That's some ego. We're just saying there's room for growth. A very mature answer is, yeah, probably. If you say that to me, I'm sure I got room to grow. Y'all are literally saying, nah, we know how it is.
I mean, I truly feel that
That's your opinion, bro.
Yeah, that's your opinion.
See what I'm saying?
I don't care what
we
you
say
guys
is
have a platform. You say whatever you
with
want.
men and women.
And you can also think she is one.
Yeah.
Yes.
She doesn't have to know it though.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
She don't gotta know it.
I'm saying.
At this point of the podcast, it starts getting a little bit rough because it's been over an hour of just pure disagreements, of no progress, and everybody just essentially fighting each other. And I guess Fresh and Fit does deserve some type of credit because when you compare their episode to the Full Send episode where Andrew Schultz completely destroyed Steiny, they did keep it cool for way longer and kept it very professional, listening to Akash essentially trash their content and the way that they make a living. Because at some point, Akash was just done with them and basically ignoring everything that they said and not engaging with them at all, giving them zero reaction. Now, this is what I find very interesting and a little bit weird. Because I think we can all agree that when the guy from Fresh and Fit said that women don't need to all know that they are the prize, they were making a joke. It was clearly not the best joke, but they were kidding. But if you look at Akash and Alex's faces, they're just not having it. They're just giving no reaction. They think it's 0% funny, which is funny because this was their reaction back when Andrew Tate was the biggest thing on the internet.
I think that was him as a kickboxer. His thing was Cobra. I don't know how I know that, but I know that.
You don't know these things, bro. Don't know about the man. It's okay.
No, he's undeniably funny. You can't even act like a guy not funny.
He's funny.
Yeah,
He's funny, bro. Put a girl's body count on her forehead. Solve all the problems in the world. He said that to a woman.
Who knows? Maybe they changed their mind, or maybe back then the manosphere, the red pill, community, whatever, wasn't that big, so they thought that they could crush Fresh and Fit, get some views, and move on. But when Andrew Tate completely took over the internet for a while, there was no way that Andrew Schultz and them were going to trash him on the podcast.
If you're gonna get on this podcast and say, I'm gonna get married and my wife is gonna know it's an open relationship, I have a hard time believing this. And it's open for me. You are gonna be loyal
Absolutely.
to me.
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, okay.
You know how
will
many
see.
millionaires are like that though in the world?
I grew up
There's many.
Muslim, so you know
There's many. There's many millionaires.
Oh, well,
like
you
that.
got the religious loophole where we just get,
Yeah.
God is on our side. And
Yeah.
you say you grew up Muslim or you are Muslim?
I am, but yeah.
Okay. Practicing.
So, yeah. Well, no, I need to get back on it. You know,
So
I'm not
practice
praying
when
and
it's
stuff.
convenient. I got you.
Yeah, but
so I'm Muslim for multiple wives. But not Valley bacon at
Let me
breakfast.
get back on it. I'm gonna hit the mosque. But hey, we gotta do what we gotta do, man.
All right, man. Thank you guys very much for
Thanks
coming
for having
on.
us
I
on.
appreciate the
Even
conversation.
though we disagree, thank you
Yeah,
guys for
yeah, of
coming
course,
on.
no
But
wrong.
this is
job,
good.
man.
And I'm keeping tabs on y'all, man. I mean that. 3
Hey,
years.
man, you gotta come on our show with the chicks now.
Yeah,
All
bro.
right,
Come
not with
with
the
us.
girls, man. It's too much.
Obviously, Andrew Schultz never went on the Fresh and Fit podcast, and I don't think that will ever happen in the future. And when it comes to the Fresh and Fit channel demonetization, it is extreme. That's the worst case scenario for any creator. But I guess you could let me know in the comments below if you agree with it, if you think it's too extreme, if they deserve it. Because I don't consume all of their content, but it does seem like they made a bad business decision. It doesn't really seem, just from a quick look, it doesn't seem like YouTube made a bad call or it was like an unfair treatment. But when it comes to the Flagrant episode, I definitely don't think that Andrew Schultz planned it and had in mind to invite them and ambush them and make them look bad. I do think that they just wanted to talk to them. They obviously disagreed on every single thing, and then it just didn't go so well for Fresh and Fit because they were not ready. But yeah, overall, I do think it was on Fresh and Fit for not being prepared to defend their takes, and they eventually did that to themselves. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Leave a like and subscribe to support the channel. It helps out so much to push the content to more people, and I really appreciate that. Dislike if you didn't like the video, but that is all we have for today. See ya.